Hi guys, I'm Callum and I'm here with Rob, and today we're here to talk about everything Norwich. It's been a while, hasn't it, Rob? How are you doing?
Oh, yeah, it has been a while. Good to be back on the channel. Yeah, I've been doing good. Yeah. I mean, suffered with a bit of Wagner ball, but yeah, we're back here with a lot better football. Yeah, looking
Yeah,
forward to it, mate. Looking forward to being back and making videos. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, it's been a few months of change. We'll talk about that first. There's the playoff semi-final, heartache against Leeds. It really wasn't pretty at all. Um, and the decision to let Wagner go and get in this new guy who I'm sure you hadn't heard of, I hadn't heard of, kind of mirrors a little bit of the 2017 time a little bit when we brought in Farker, a kind of more unknown manager from Europe. What was your opinion on all of that?
Yeah, it kind of brought back a kind of a nostalgic feel for, like you said, with Farker coming in to the club. I feel straight away this kind of new manager, first time managing in England in a big division. He kind of has less pressure, less eyes on him. He can only go in with kind of, well, the media isn't on him as much, and neither of the general fans. I think with a new manager like this, compared to someone like Wagner and Smith, who have done the divisions before, he kind of goes in with a lot of time on his hands, more time than probably them guys do.
Sure.
But it's very refreshing, isn't it? Like you
Yeah.
said, with Farker, never heard of him. Same with Johannes. You can kind of go in and see what he does for a bit longer than the other candidates.
Yeah, and obviously, I think at the moment, where are we sitting in the table, Rob? Can you remember? I know
I think is it something like seventh or eighth? I
seventh,
think it's, I
yeah,
know
something
it's
seventh
no
sounds right, doesn't
it's
it? I
either
think,
in the playoffs or outside, but I want to say it's
yeah,
outside. Just yeah,
we're up there. We've had those four league wins, haven't we? Four league wins, I think.
yeah,
So yeah, still very early days assessing wise, but we can kind of tell the football that it is what I think Norwich fans want to see. We are trying to dominate games in the Championship, which I think, getting away from what we do, maybe that culture change of Dean Smith and David Wagner, where the football wasn't always so pretty. The aim is to dominate, which I think in the Championship we expect to. Johannes also brings in Glenn Riddersholm, doesn't he? The an
mhm.
experienced manager alongside him to kind of be the assistant. So I think you can't underestimate how important that will be to the coaching setup and the way that Norwich are going to try and do things. New signings. I think they've split opinions really, Rob. We've had obviously quite a few, haven't we? We've had Doyle, we've had Koscielny, Slimani, Schwartu, Sienats, who else? Probably some others as well. I think some young guys as well came in on deadline day, as well, and Gordon on loan from Liverpool. What have you made of the transfer business? Obviously, losing players like Sarah and Rowe as well. It was a kind of a big old shock, I think, for a lot of Norwich fans. What have you made of the transfer business that's been done?
Yeah. Like you said, there's been a lot. I think it's not only been about Johannes here in this kind of summer we've just had. It's been about obviously Ben. Ben's kind of first full summer here. Um, and he's definitely showed his kind of potential, showed his kind of football insight with these kind of signs.
Yeah.
Like Ben Cressine, 20 years of age. That's a very much like a, you don't know what you're going to get yet necessarily, because obviously that player is going to grow in time. 20 is
Mm,
such a young age, but I think it's interesting what we've made. We've made big statements as well. A side like Doyle, I think, is a massive statement. A
definitely.
club a club like maybe Burnley should have got him,
Mm,
or even a Premier League side like Leicester get back him. But we've somehow got him, which is unbelievable business.
mm.
I think everything from what I'm seeing so far is working in terms of the signings. And I just hope it kind of, because it was I think for me it was a massive kind of, not just the signings we were making, but the signings going out of the club, as in players like Gibson and leaving and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
that was a,
Giannoulis, McCallum, yeah.
yeah, it was a massive clear out. And for me it meant like, we're going into the championship being serious contenders now in terms of the business alone.
Mm,
And it felt brave from us doing that. Players who have been
mm.
there for a long while. But it's for me, I don't know about yourself, but for me, it's been really refreshing to see, some new faces, and a bit like when Farker came in. I know, a lot of the Germans coming in and everything, and it feels exciting again. It plays like Doyle and gets exciting football playing there, and there's others as well to follow. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, I don't know whether this impacts it as well, but there was a little bit of money spent, I know, after some sales, which is how, it always happens with Norwich, letting players go. I was disappointed with the Sarah one. But I do wonder if this news about, the fact that in a few months' time, Delia, Michael step back, Atanasio, the very much stepping in, being the central figure in the picture. I wonder if that allowed us, a little more bit breathing space, with making some of these decent signings, because a little more was spent, I'd say, than I thought. I'm thinking
Mm,
Sienat's in my head, for example, and I know he's a player that has split opinion. I do think there's a top player in there.
yeah.
Maybe just sometimes a little bit of that decision making when you're thinking attacking player, you got to be shooting in an area like this, playing against some of these championship teams. I don't know what you think about that, and I don't know what you think about Sienat, since he's a signing that I think has split some opinion.
Yeah, I think there's a player there, like you say. I do think there's a player
Mm,
there. Give him time, and I think we'll see the real him. A bit like Bora when he first came in the club last season. It took a little while, but I think obviously
definitely.
now definitely we're seeing a player come through, and you just kind of do hope it works, because we've had a bit of a history before of bringing players in, and we've not seen the reason
Mm,
why we signed him. Like Tazoles, on the top of my head, for instance, that's a player that we never got to see the real player that we aimed to
mm.
sign in the first place.
Yeah, no, that was a disappointing one, wasn't it? I think for him, for Jolis, it was definitely. I never got the impression he really wanted to be here, which is difficult
Mm,
sometimes. I think
yeah,
top player in there, I do, Ben. I think in the championship, ability wise, should have really, done hit some serious numbers for us, but just didn't work out. But yeah, we'll have to see. If we go on, Rob, and talk about, um some high performers, because I know, like, in the past when we did a video, we spoke about player of the seasons and all that. We were a lot later on in the season, I think. Don't know if you're going to say Liam Gibbs this time. Obviously we can't.
I was waiting for
Yeah,
that.
it's not going to be player of the season, because we've only played like what, 9 games, something like that.
Oh
But
yeah,
who
yeah,
who has been the best performer for us so far? Would you say Signs? I know he's going to be on a lot of people's minds, isn't he?
yeah. I think definitely Boris Signs.
Mm.
Another one you can kind of say maybe is up there. Callum Doyle potentially.
Yeah,
His
yeah, fair
work rate has
play.
been phenomenal. I think. I don't know who else particularly. I think them two definitely to mind. I think from what I've seen, Sarge in the last game. I forget who we played now. Was it Hull? Yeah,
Hull,
Hull.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What
He
performance?
looked
What
really good.
performance?
Yeah, but I don't think we've seen enough from Sargent yet to maybe put him up there.
Mm.
But I think definitely Sains and Callum Doyle as the top two
Mm.
for me. Yeah.
Sarge, for me, is it's never always, he scores all these goals, and it's never, I never, since he's joined, and I know he really struggled at the beginning, never like struck me like, oh yeah, he's got the best technical ability, but he scores those goals because of his work rate, and he always had that work rate ever since he joined. But he's grown into a more mature, better player, you've got to say, in a league which I think the Championship does look very suitable for him. And I'm sure in his career he'll want to kick on and be that Premier League striker, but you've got to
Yeah.
say, I have been impressed with him. The only thing I worry about with him is how many games we're going to have to let him play, which I think,
Mm.
this new recent signing of Marcondes, he can play as that striker as well. We just need to give the guy some space, because, it looks like Barnes is going to be out for a while. Injuries are an interesting one.
Mm.
I think if my answer for the performer so far of the season would maybe have to be Nunez. I've
Yeah,
been
that's
so
that's a fair
impressed with
shout.
I've been so impressed with the guy, and before this season, honestly, was I thought, some games great, some games not so great. Maybe Sarah leaving has made him step up a little bit, and
Mm.
I now couldn't really imagine this team without him. It now looks like he might have a little bit of an injury, which is a shame. Just got to hope these players coming in can step in. But yeah, no, I've been really impressed by Nunez, and shows, that he's a project maybe player, someone that, and maybe some of these new signings that have come in and maybe look, you like this Sinach, your Schwartzes, they're gonna develop and become better players over the years to come. And I'm sure that's a big part of what Johannes Hoff Thorup wants to bring to Norwich as well, where he was before in Denmark.
Yeah.
A lot of young players coming through that club and that have been sold on. So,
Well, I was going to ask you, do you think, because obviously, like you say, there's a lot of young players there. Like, I think is it Schwatau? He's 18
well,
years
too.
old.
Yeah, yeah,
Schwatu,
yeah,
18 years.
yeah, something like that, yeah,
Obviously, Ben
18.
Ben Cressine is 20. There's a lot of young players, like you say. Do you think that's either obviously Ben Napper's made some decisions there, but do you think that's kind of a side of we trust Johannes to be here a while to develop them, or is that just the club just playing it safe and signing young players?
I think yeah, it's part of the culture, isn't it? I think now
Mm,
that it's this new rebuild, and it's very different to Wagner. He's coming in, he's bringing in Ashley Barnes, Shane Duffy. I think they were both Wagner signings, weren't they? I
yeah,
don't
I think
know
they were.
if they,
I
they,
remember that. I forget that there was that other midfielder who joined like literally on more or less deadline day, or I know it was on a match day. I forget
oh,
who that
Forshaw,
was. Yeah,
Forshaw,
that's
yeah,
it. I think he was either on deadline day or up close to the end.
yeah, that's it, yeah, and Danny
That was a
Bath,
weird signing,
Danny
wasn't it?
Bath as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, these kind of older signings. So we've had that culture, but now. Yeah, we listen like we now we've got Johannes in. It looks like a complete culture switch. Like
Mm,
it's we
yeah.
the aim is to dominate games. Young players and possession based football. Looking at the clubs. I'm thinking Brighton, Brentford, those kinds of clubs, they play the possession-based football. They have the young players. They've scouted well from Europe, and that was what we did a few years ago. We just weren't able to sustain it, which was a shame. And
Mm.
there was all the chaos in the club, with Webber leaving and everything. But it was good that you brought up Napa earlier, actually, and brought attention to him because as a first window, you're looking and thinking, okay, yeah, there's maybe some promising signs here. If the windows are more like this, I know when he came in early, I maybe expected him to do more in that Jan when Wagner was still a manager, but it was early to judge, and it will be early to judge. As I said, we've only played 9 games, I think, haven't we? And we've only won 4 games. There's a long way to go, and with the injuries, I know, like I've just seen that Doyle's had a minor knock for the England under 21s. Who else? Gunn and Cordoba. Am I naming the right kind of knocks?
Yeah, I want to say, is Nunes a one as well? We
I think
said
Nunes
earlier.
and some
Yeah,
of those others maybe will be back. So there may be those
yeah,
kinds of classic international break safety knocks. So we'll see how they are. But I think Nunes might not be available after.
yeah.
But just got to hope. I mean, Slimani, shout out to him. I was so impressed with how he came in into the team
Mm.
against Coventry, which I don't think was the best performance from us, by the way. I think was that the first league win from Thorup? I think it might have been.
Yeah, I want to say it was.
Yeah, and he just
I know. Yeah, like you said, that was and that commentary win. That was definitely a game with, we saw the real kind of possession based football. Like you say, I don't. I think it was it was definitely a clean win. Obviously, it was clean sheet. I get that, but it was definitely protective football.
yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't the most exciting at times. We definitely could have got a second just to keep it safe. But yeah, you are right. He came in that game and really showed like, well, he showed character on the field as soon as he came on. A brilliant work rate.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and he got that nice assist in the whole game as well, I believe. Um,
Mm.
yeah. There's a player there, definitely.
Yeah, I think what I was so impressed with Slimani, when he came on in that commentary game, is it didn't look like a debut, new club. It just looked like he came on. I know he knew the manager
Yeah,
and knew some players before, so maybe that helped. It looked like he just knew the club, knew exactly what the task was, and I was so
yeah.
impressed with him, really. And if we can have more of that from him, and the other signings as well, that'll be great. But yeah, what do you think then, Rob? Prediction wise this season, what are you thinking?
Oh, it's a tough one. I mean, I was fair, and I'm happy with this, by the way. But when Johannes first came in, I could see there was a vision of football that he wanted to play. It wasn't necessarily working in them earlier games we played, and obviously we didn't have that team takes time to gel and everything, and that team is
Yeah,
really coming through now. Obviously, we're in a bit of a winning unbeaten streak,
sure.
but I was very much going to be happy with how Farke done things. 13th in the first season, and then obviously went up the next season. I
Mm.
would be happy with that this season. However, from what I'm seeing, I would probably say we can make playoffs again. Maybe
Yeah.
not a finishing top two. I think it is early days. Don't get me wrong, we are playing really well right now.
Mm. Yeah.
But you kind of look at the Leeds game. Yeah, we got a point out of it. That was good. Okay, they were missing some good players, Leeds, but we got a point out of it, and that's good. But I would probably say at the moment we could probably make it to. There are a lot of good teams in this division, but maybe fifth, sixth.
Yeah. Fair
I'd
play.
probably go with that
Yeah.
because I do think there's teams like who might who else might surprise us this season. Like I look at West Brom and Major up front, unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's doing
What
great.
season is
There
having?
are teams that aren't getting talked about, that aren't your Burnleys and your Leeds, that are also got kind of progressively doing well. Obviously Sunderland's still top. You'd never know with them either.
Yeah.
I
Good
mean
club, aren't they? Yeah.
yeah. I think people are. I've seen people online, Norwich fans say, top two easily. I don't think it will be like that. I mean, it's a long season, the Championship.
Mm. Oh, very
But
long. Yeah.
let's just kind of take what we can get from this first season with him, because if he can pull off, if this manager can pull off a top two in this first season, unbelievable. But if he can if he can pick up a playoff plays but not necessarily going up, yeah, it will be painful because that's the second season in a row we've seen that. But I'm happily going to take that because it is just first season. Now the second season, that's when it really starts to click in with things. But remember, we've got to be patient and let's see what we can get. But
Definitely.
I reckon sixth or fifth we can definitely get and hopefully win the playoffs. But you never know, obviously.
Yeah, no, fair play. Yeah,
What do you think?
I think that's some good analysis there, really. What's my head saying? Head is saying just outside the playoffs, maybe. Unfortunately,
Yeah, yeah.
that's me like being like really like nervous, sometimes, which I am. But I think my heart is saying, sixth. I think we can just sneak in, and I know that sounds like I'm going for, but it can. I feel like we will either just fall short, and there'll be that promise, but
Mm,
the injuries will get too much, or maybe just lose a little too much class, a bit too many players that are just project ones yet, needing to
yeah,
grow. But as you said, it's the championship. We can go on a massive run. Our home form is crazy. We haven't spoken about that
yeah,
yet.
yeah. That's
It's Carrow
something.
Road is a fortress. I don't know if we've lost a league game this calendar year, have we?
No, no, we haven't. And I
Yeah.
know, obviously, I'm not. We're not comparing them to here, no way. But I know Man City and Arsenal have. I would wonder if there's a fact out there to see if we're the only English side in these top divisions that haven't been beaten yet at
It
home
would
this
it,
year.
it would be crazy, but I think yeah, I think that might be the case. It seems so
Mm,
routine, and we've really got some foot. I mean, you got that. We will have to give obviously Wagner some credit for that because that
yeah,
was one thing he turned it around near the end when things are getting unpopular and the home football was at least good. At least that has I think helped a little bit in terms of some of the positivity being back at Carrow Road this time. The fact he started that by getting the home form up, but Johannes definitely kicking it in with this new style and these new players. But yeah, I reckon just outside the playoffs or
mm,
just inside the playoffs because
yeah,
Burnley, Leeds, Sheffield United. You've got three quality teams there on paper, and you're mentioning your West Broms, your Sunderlands, whoever else. There's going to be a lot of others that are
yeah,
competing
yeah,
near the top. Watford as well. I think they've got some good players.
yeah,
And you never know. So
yeah.
but
I think,
I think we're definitely in with a shout, but we've just got to be careful. It's only been 9 games
yeah.
so far.
It does. I think it does also kind of make you excited to think that Wagner achieved playoff place. What can this new manager achieve
Mm.
with kind of a real good identity of football, which I don't think Wagner ever adopted with the club. But what can this new manager achieve? If Wagner achieved that, what can he achieve? And also, I think I don't know whether you can say it's an easiest season or not compared to the teams that have exited last season, but it does. I do see why people like Norwich fans we're kind of getting a bit excited over this and maybe over too excited. I don't know, but I completely get it. I do completely
Yeah,
get it. Yeah. But it will just be interesting to see. Yeah.
yeah, brilliant. All right then, Rob, is there anything else you want to talk about today regarding Norwich
Um.
City?
To know, mate. Hopefully we just don't get any more knocks in this international break. I mean, no
Yeah.
one really likes this international break, do they? Really,
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be done because when we're England fans, we need to have made sure that we've had the prep. But yeah, I know when your club team's doing well, it's so frustrating. You just hope that Norwich can come out and continue in, a good light. I mean, it was so much fun that last Hull game. You had, Kamara as the pantomime villain. You had great dominant football. We were missing one-on-ones and chances and penalties, and it was still a cruise. We should have won about 7-8-0, and we want to be continuing and watching that. So yeah, let's try and
yeah.
make sure that we get this settled team in, and let's hope that Nunez can come back, and all these
Mm,
other knocks are just nothing, and we can continue in this light.
it is kind of, yeah, we are definitely making statements in this league though, because yeah, I mean we are turning teams around without a doubt, like you said with the whole game, but also I'm just tracking back and thinking now that the game against Derby, they went
Yeah.
on an unbeaten streak up until they met us, and it is impressive what we are doing. And I was just looking on the fixtures now, so we've got, I think the next game Stoke away. What do you think the score's going to be there?
Stoke away.
I know it's like a while yet, and yeah, I hope like you touch
Well,
wood we
yeah, and
don't get any more
that's
knocks,
with
but
our old coach, isn't it? Our old
of course,
coaching team.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they've
yeah,
they've
yeah.
gone there. I still think we should beat Stoke away. 3-1 Norwich,
3-1.
got to be
Yeah.
positive. We've come off this positivity. They were very disorganized last time we played them away, Stoke, I remember. But let's hope it can go well. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel they'll get a cheeky goal. I want to say either. I'm gonna go 4-1. Be a bit more optimistic about it. But yeah, I think it's definitely got to be a win, hasn't it? Yeah.
Come on, we've got to go for it. Yeah. Yeah. All right then, Rob. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. I'll leave.
Good to be back, my friend. We'll do some more content. 100%.
Yeah, do some more content. Rob Izzini channel. Check it out. Subscribe here. Hopefully, me and Rob will, we'll do a few more collabs over the next
100%.
few months.
My channel, your channel.
Yeah, whatever. And just get chatting about football because that's what we love doing. And so put in the comments what you think about the new manager, the new style, whatever you want. And thanks for watching. Take care, guys.
Cheers, guys.